collect 5 Sgt Slaughter certificates, there's a $1 handling charge. See details in specially marked packages.
G.I. Joe!
Yo Joes, back with another Patreon special missions request. This one is courtesy of Eric Griffin, who asked that I rank my top 5 G.I. Joe Real American Hero mail-away offers. Now usually my lists are in no particular order, but as I thought about this one, I noticed a definite shift in emotion from, pretty cool, to awesome. So for a change, this list will be in order. I'm sure you can already guess who's number 1. But we'll start with number 5. The Manta. Marine Assault Nautical Transport Air Driven. I guess that spells Mantad, hence the hyphen, which makes it silent? Named after the manta ray, this one-man windsurfer initially offered in 1984 gave kids another reason to head to the beach, river, or pool. While most of the mail-away exclusives in the 80s were for figures that were repaints or slight remolds of existing figures, the Manta was unique in that it was a vehicle that looked like it should have been hanging on the same pegs next to the figures, or in one of the small battle station boxes. And it even got more screen time than 82 Hawk or Grand Slam. The Joes used them in the Revenge of Cobra Part 3 at the Island of No Return, and it makes another appearance in Ode to Cobra, being used by Flint and Lady J. Another rarity for that early on in the line was the use of soft goods, as they're called. The Manta was made up of the typical hard but slightly bendy plastic pieces as the rest of the G.I. Joe vehicles, but also had a piece of thin vinyl for the sail. The Manta may have been a stealthy way for Joes to sneak up on Cobra Island, but it could make some noise when needed with the rifle that was attached to the boom. And speaking of boom, the Manta could make that sound too thanks to the lone missile. The best part about the Manta was that once the Joes reached shore, they wouldn't have to discard it or bury it. It could be disassembled and carried in the backpack. Hasbro's first parts former. Yeah, it's a little on the large side, but Joes who were used to hauling larger backpacks had no trouble hauling it around.
I'm a G.I. Joe, and nothing stops a G.I. Joe! Nothing!
That's right, nothing. The Manta was a steal at only $1 plus 5 flag points initially, and then offered later for $1.75 plus 2 flag points, according to these mail offer scans available on 3D Joes. Number 4 on the list is one Super Joe. It's Super Trouper.
Introducing the Ultimate Warrior.
Huh? Initially offered in 1988, Super Trouper was an attempt at another larger-than-life character, but without being based on an actual real-life personality, probably to cut the cost of having to license a real person's likeness. Well, unless you count this dude who played him in the commercial. As a kid, I always thought he was supposed to be some sort of bioengineered super soldier, G.I. Joe's answer to Serpentor, or the Joe's version of Captain America. But it turns out he's just got some really great top secret training. He also featured no new molded pieces, aside from his armor and shield, being made up of Knockdown's head, Outback's chest, Wetsuit's waist and arms, and Xandar's legs. So no real-life personality tie-in, no new molded parts, no genetic splicing. Why is he number 4 on this list? Well, a little 80s chrome goes a long way. He is one of the most dazzling G.I. Joe figures, mail-away or otherwise, thanks to the chrome armor, helmet, gun, and shield. And it shows you just how much of a difference chrome makes when you compare him to his repaint in 1990, Rapid Fire. Chrome is definitely better than neon. Plus, he had one of the most amazing commercials ever, a live-action sequence of him single-handedly taking down a bunch of Destro's Iron Grenadiers, in much the same fashion as another super mail-away Joe.
The Ultimate Warrior.
And despite the claims of the commercial, Super Trouper was not
the Ultimate Warrior!
The real Ultimate Warrior was from parts unknown. Paul Latimer was from Dayton, Ohio. Rank is 02. First Lieutenant. That makes him one of the higher-ranking Joes, above Duke, Flint, and Beachhead, and just under Hawk. Like I said, a little 80s chrome goes a long way. To get your own Super Trouper, all it took was $1 and 4 special Super Trouper proofs of purchase. The mini-comic, Operation Single-Handed, was also included with the Joe toys to hype his legend since the Sunbow animated series had ended, and the Deke series hadn't begun yet. And it shows good old Paul being sent to single-handedly save some of the 87 Joes from Cobra. Number 3 on the list is big. How big? I'm talking refrigerator-sized.
He's getting mad. He's getting mean. He's breaking the line for the G.I. Joe team.
It's the 1987 mail-away exclusive figure, The Fridge.
That's right, it's William the Refrigerator Perry.
The Fridge is drawing G.I. Joe.
Having won Super Bowl 20 with the Chicago Bears in January of 1986, where he incidentally set a record.
Another Super Bowl record, the first refrigerator to score.
William Perry became the second real-life personality to license his likeness for G.I. Joe. Much like the Sarge, the Fridge was a more hands-on combatant, tackling through countless lines of Cobra defense. With the success of the Sgt Slaughter mail-away in '86, the hope was that the charismatic Fridge would enjoy the same level of success as a real-life G.I. Joe.
And you can get a free fridge. Here's how.
Oof. The only issue was that Sarge may have been a wrestler at the time that he joined G.I. Joe, but his history and gimmick was that of a Marine drill sergeant, perfect for the Army-themed G.I. Joe team. Many Joe fans feel the gimmick should be military, and as soon as you move into sporty characters, you're diluting a soldier's whole identity to soldier on, not play ball. Plus, the Sarge was a great performer. The charisma continued to flow out of him when you stuck a camera or a microphone in front of him.
Watch out, Cobra. Fridge is coming through.
Not so much with the Fridge. Great intensity on the football field didn't translate to great intensity in a studio for the filming of the Fridge mail-away commercial. The figure, though, was awesome. Made up of completely original parts, and one of the bulkiest figures of the Joe line, the Fridge is one of the rare figures that doesn't need a weapon because his guns are attached to his shoulders. Although he did include this football thing to fumble the Cobras with. The Fridge was available for $1 and 5 special Fridge proofs of purchase, which was another reason why these 80s mail-away exclusives are so awesome. They were rare, they were exclusive, and they weren't going to break the bank like some modern-day Comic-Con exclusives do. Number 2 on the list was my first mail-away figure.
Who is that bozo? That moron is Cobra Commander.
What did you say?
He said you're a moron.
I will not allow such impertinence, especially from an enlisted man.
I was never able to find the helmeted Cobra Commander in stores in my area, and even if I had, I wasn't sure if I wanted to drop $3 on that stinker when there were still so many Joes to get.
The Joes have taken control!
But when I saw the mail offer for Cobra Commander with hood for only $1 plus 7 flag points? 7? You scoundrel! I had to have him, and I'll never forget getting him in the mail. My mom saying, "Something came in the mail for you." What? For me? But I'm a child. Mail was for grown-ups. It had unpleasant things in it, like bills, or boring things like junk mail. You mean to tell me a toy came in the mail? A toy? Delivered to my house? We might just be onto something here. The hooded version of Cobra Commander used the same body as the helmeted version, but had a darker blue paint job with gold accents, which I thought looked much nicer on the Commander. His head was made of a softer material than the regular Joe heads, which was nice, even though it wasn't fabric. I liked that it had a bit more give to it than the helmeted head. And he also included his pistol that could be attached to his back. Later offers for the same figure would require $1.75 plus only 3 flag points. And if you've seen the History of G.I. Joe 1986 edition on this channel, I'm sure you can guess who's number 1 on this list.
Lieutenant!
Don't mess with Sgt Slaughter. He's as strong as they come. I see him take on 100 cobras and set them on the run.
Sgt Slaughter was already a real American hero, having served as a Marine, but in 1986 was immortalized in plastic with this ultimate mail-away figure.
Sergeant Slaughter. He's joined the G.I. Joe team.
Having been a big wrestling fan as a kid and booked many supercards with my LJN wrestling figures, I was so pumped to get a Sgt Slaughter G.I. Joe so it could perform body slams, slaughter cannons, suplees, brother, and pile drivers on the Cobras.
Uh-oh, look out! Pile driver coming up! Oh, look at that!
Nobody takes on Cobras better than Sergeant Slaughter.
Definitely not in hand-to-hand combat, that's for sure. I smashed and bashed my Sarge figures so much that I ended up having to get another one to replace the original.
But you can't buy him in stores. You've got to earn him. Here's how.
That's right, the Sarge was all about the work. $1 plus 5 special Sarge certificates got you the big bad Gyrene, who wasn't just the master of kicking Cobra's tail, he also whipped your new recruits into shape too.
Recruits? Now you're talking my language.
And while so many Joes and Cobras came with weapons, some based on real-life ones and others more creative, the Sarge came with one lone swagger stick, because swagger is what this Joe was made of.
Yo, Joe!
Like the fridge, the mail-away wrestler Sarge was made up of completely new body parts, although the entire upper body would be recolored for the 1986 Triple T version. This figure is awesome. The man, even more so. The Sarge walked away from the World Wrestling Federation because he knew, as he said in his own words, that he could always be a wrestler, but he can't always be a G.I. Joe. Well, he was, still is, and always will be a G.I. Joe to me and countless Joe fans worldwide.
Yo, Joe!
And a couple of mail-away honorable mentions. The 1991 Rice Krispies Lifeline, who was given new legs, recolor of Frostbite, with no gun and holster on the leg to be more in keeping with his conscientious objector character on the Sunbow show.
Nope, I'm not gonna do it.
Steel Brigade, initially offered in 1987, made up of reused parts, but the big hook was that he was personalized. You could include the info to get your own file card, complete with codename. Starduster, the jetpack-toting mail-in from the G.I. Joe Action Stars cereal offer in 1987.
The delicious part of this complete breakfast, crunchy stars that taste great.
And finally, the 1987 mail-away Sgt Slaughter in the style of LJN WWF Superstars figures, so that you could slaughterize the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov when you were done with the Cobras. And that's my top 5 G.I. Joe 80s mail-aways.
You got all that? Good!
Hope you enjoyed it.
I applaud your performance.
Aw, thanks, Commander. I appreciate that.
You arrogant fool!
Never trust a snake. Feel free to leave your own top 5 below, or on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, or wherever you might be watching. Thanks again to Eric for the request, and thanks to the Patreon tribe for continuing to support the channel. A big salute to you all. Feel free to share the video, and to join the tribe, include $1 and 5 flag points. Just kidding.
What's so funny?
To join the tribe, hit subscribe. Yo, Joe!
All right, Patty!